Okay, I think we're live. Let's do a quick sound check. Okay, can everyone hear me? Okay, can everyone hear me? Yes, perfect. Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to another Sunday evening live stream. I had a little break last weekend. Just needed a break, basically, and quality time with the wife. So that's all good. I hope you didn't miss me too much. Great to be back. I had a very busy couple of weeks since I last saw you live. Some of you who subscribe to the channel will have seen some of the stuff that I've been up to, and including, in fact, I made some notes. Let's go and check the notes out, shall we, so I don't miss anything. So yeah, I guess one of the most exciting things I did was I went to Scape Nature. So we've been on lockdown for not sure how many weeks it is now, but they've kind of eased the restrictions a little bit here in the UK. So I took the opportunity to go and see my good friend Ray over at Scape Nature in Norwich in England, and he scaped my biorb air for me, and I made a video of that, and I did a quick tour of the beautiful store as well. You can check out the 1 minute kind of cut that I did on my Instagram channel. Yeah, beautiful store. If you're ever in the Norwich area in England, Scape Nature is definitely a shop that you should visit if you're into aquascaping, indeed into anything kind of nature in your living space kind of genre. It's a beautiful store and really interesting displays and great people that work there as well. So I did that. I also did a new scape in my Awase style line 125, which I will produce a video for that this coming week. So you can look forward to that on the channel, fully produced, edited video. And what else did I do? Let's have a look. Oh, I did a huge trim on the Aquascaper 1200 and a bit of a rescape as well. I added some new hardscape, moved some things around. So I will do an update video on that as well. So that's exciting. Those that follow me on Instagram may have had a kind of sneak preview of what that looks like. Yeah, so check me out on Instagram if you don't follow me there already. And what else did we do? Oh, if you follow the Tropica Aquarium Plants YouTube channel, you may have seen the special 50th anniversary video that we produced, which was really a great experience. It's a completely different style of video that I'm used to producing. So that was challenging, but good, because it's great to challenge yourself, and you stretch yourself and all the kind of growth that comes from that. So I really enjoyed making that video, helping to make that video for Tropica's very special 50th birthday. It's a funny one, the 50th anniversary, because it was supposed to be celebrated at Interzoo 2020, which was cancelled due to coronavirus. So that was a real shame. I'm just going to check the live stream's working, because I always get a bit paranoid that it's going to freeze. That we're good. So yeah, it was a shame that it was cancelled. I think it's been rescheduled for next year. So I'll be representing Tropica there, I'm sure. I'll be there, hopefully with some beautiful scapes to show off as well, so we can still celebrate that 50th anniversary, even though it's going to be 51 years by then. And I also made some videos, more videos for Tropica. There's 750ml bottle of fertilizer, and a video that we've literally just released today about the beautiful red root floating plant, the Philanthus fluitans. So check that out on the Tropica YouTube channel as well. And make sure you're subscribed if you're not already to the Tropica channel. I do, at the moment, we're doing 2 videos a week or so. And if you're kind of missing out on, if you miss sort of George Farmer content on my channel, then you can always get some really high quality aquarium plant content on the Tropica channel as well. So that's a bit of an update from the last 2 weeks. Yeah, I've been really busy at home again. I am planning on doing some more kind of out and about trips over the next coming weeks. I will be going to aquarium gardens this coming week, and I am planning on doing a full production video on all of the beautiful scapes there, and also coming soon there'll be a full step-by-step Aquascaper 900 tutorial With Dave, the owner, will be scaping, and I'll make a full tutorial video of that, and we'll probably live stream that as well. So you can look forward to that coming on my channel in the near future. And in a couple of weeks' time, I'm going to go and visit Riverwood Aquatics down in Suffolk. There's another aquascaping specialist store here in England. So excited for that. So it's great to be able to get out of the house and meet people again and get some more kind of diverse content rather than stuff from the gallery. But yeah, it's all good fun. Like I said, busy couple of weeks. I was quite ill. Had a really bad ear infection, really, really painful, but you don't want to listen to that. So let's dive on over to the Instagram questions. Regular viewers to the stream will know by now that I give the opportunity for folk to ask questions on my Instagram story. I pick out the top 5 questions, I answer them now, and then we go into a live Q&A after that. So save your questions until after we've done these 5, or you can ask your questions in the live chat right now, and hopefully the more experienced folk on that live chat can get back to you and maybe answer some of your questions. And do feel free to use the live chat as just a community hangout. That's what this kind of stream's all about. Bringing together aquascaping the community from all over the world. Let us know where you're from. Always interesting to know the kind of diverse range of folk from all over the world that join us here on this great community that we're building. So I really appreciate you all being here. Good, so everyone's here, that's good. Mary Page Flynn's in the house. Candy, yeah, shout out to my moderators. I think Candy's in, and well, no, Candy's in, I can see her posts there. And we've got, I think, Radu as well, my colleague from Tropica, as well as a moderator on here, and hopefully Jen Williams as well. Lizzie's got other business on at the moment, so that's no problem. But yeah, just very grateful to the moderating team. Really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Okay, great. Good to see you all active in the chat. That's great. So let's dive on over to the 5 questions from Instagram. We've got quite a diverse range. I do love kind of, picking and choosing the kind of best questions. There's some really great ones here. They're all really good questions, and it's quite challenging to actually pick out the top 5. But here we are. So Bradley C. Tate. He asks, when was the first time you realised that aquascaping could be a career choice for me? So it was very much a gradual kind of process, my journey from becoming nothing to do with aquariums to full-time aquascaper. It's a long story. I actually detail the whole kind of story in a special video that I produced when I got to 100,000 subscribers. I think if you search George Farmer 100,000 subscribers or something like that, maybe Candy can provide a link to you. But I do go into a lot of detail about this kind of journey. But basically, I realised when I was writing articles for various magazines, most prolifically for Practical Fishkeeping UK, from 2006 onwards. And I was doing it as a side hustle. I was in the Royal Air Force full time, but I was doing writing, and I was doing the odd workshop. I was attending kind of a couple of trade shows, and gradually I was getting more and more involved with the aquarium industry, even though I was full time, still in the Air Force. And then it got to a point when I was in the Air Force where it got to a point where I realised this wasn't my purpose in life to be in the military. As much as I enjoyed it and I felt I was adding value, it wasn't what I was passionate about. And I was absolutely passionate about aquascaping. And so lots of kind of circumstances kind of coincided to the point where I realised that I should leave the Air Force and take up aquascaping kind of full time. And so yeah, it wasn't like one day I woke up and thought, I know what I'm going to do, aquascaping, and then just leave my full-time job. It was very much a kind of gradual transition. So I could go into a lot of detail about the whys and wherefores, but if you, like I said, if you check out that 100,000 subscriber special video, I do tell the full story there. But thanks for the question, Bradley C. Tate, a really good one that. Edward Cummings, out of all the plants you've kept, which have you had the most success with? this really got me thinking, because I guess it really depends on how you define success. So, you know, you could say, is success just based on how easy you find growing a plant? Or is it how does that plant impact the aquascape in creating a successful, you know, aesthetic, a successful aquascape? So in terms of like the easiest plant that I've ever grown, it has to be, gosh, I mean, Hygrophilus siamensis 53B is one of my favourites. It's really, really easy. I remember one of the earliest plants I had success with, which most people never fail to grow, is the Limnophila sessiflora. I just don't like it. It is easy to grow. I recommend it to beginners, but I just don't like the way it grows. It grows so fast. It looks quite leggy sometimes. Just really high maintenance plant with aerial roots, and yeah, it's definitely not what I would regard as a favourite or, you know, my most successful plants. But yeah, Hygrophila. But in terms of like a plant that I regularly use and I find successful because it's adding like a really nice impact to the aquascape, I really love Trident Fern and Crypts. So Crypts are really easy. Trident Fern isn't so easy. It's kind of labelled as an easy category plant by Tropica, but I'd actually argue it's a kind of medium category. It really does kind of need CO2 and higher levels of light and nutrients and circulation to get the best results. It will survive, and it will grow really slowly in a low-tech non-CO2 setup. But yeah, it does do better with higher lighting and CO2. But yeah, that's what I kind of regard as my most successful, because I use it in a lot of aquascapes. It provides instant impact. It looks beautiful when it's mature as well. And yeah, I dearly love Trident Fern and almost any Crypts as well. And they're really, you know, most Crypts are easy. You don't need CO2 necessarily or decent lighting. But that's a great question, Edward. Thank you so much for that. The third question we've got is from Matt A1001. This is a more technical question, but I think it's a good one. Glass or stainless filter pipes, and why? Well, for me personally, if I use lily pipes, lily pipes that overhang the glass, like in my Aquascaper 1200, I will use glass because the idea behind having filter pipes hanging over the side of the tank is to almost make them invisible, and glass does that. Metal looks okay, but it is relatively distracting compared with glass. Now, there are distinct advantages of metal versus glass. Metal is obviously a lot less fragile, almost indestructible compared to glass, which is relatively easy to break. And glass does need cleaning frequently in order to maintain, you know, this aesthetic of it looking invisible almost. So those are distinct kind of advantages of the metal. I guess a disadvantage with metal pipes is that you can't see the actual organic buildup that's building up inside of the pipe. And you could say that's an advantage because you can't see it, but actually in terms of the functionality of it, it's a disadvantage, because the more kind of organic waste that's getting clogged up in that metal pipe, the more it's going to restrict flow. The more the flow is restricted, the less circulation you get. The poorer the circulation, you're going to potentially lead to dead spots in the aquarium, poor algae growth, poor plant growth, which will then lead to potentially more algae growth. So, actually having a glass pipe, that you can see gets dirty, you need to clean it, and then you're going to maintain those circulation levels. So that's, that's something to think about that maybe you haven't considered before. But that's my personal preference. I prefer glass over metal. That is down to personal preference and personal taste. So, but that's just the way I think about it. But thanks for the question, Matt. That's a really good one. Fourth question, HW Aquascaping. What advice would I give to someone setting up an aquascaping YouTube channel? Now, I do get asked this most weeks, so I thought I probably do answer it now and again. But it's a good question, and YouTube is free. You can become a YouTuber. It doesn't cost you any money necessarily. Most people have got a mobile phone. You can buy a tripod cheap. You can buy a microphone cheap. So you can actually you have access to relatively good technology now for not much money. So you can have the potential to create really great content now without, like I said, investing too much cash. So that would be my one of my first considerations, is just think about the equipment that you're using. Don't obsess about getting a high quality mirrorless camera or a digital SLR. Guys like MD Fish Tanks, I think he might even still use, I think he uses a Samsung mobile phone. To be honest, I haven't watched much of his content lately, but I know I know he's growing like crazy. He's probably going to overtake me in terms of subscribers soon, which is great. But I think he still uses a mobile phone. So what I'm saying is, don't rely on the technology to create good content. The biggest thing that you need to create good content is telling a good story, and having a kind of a plan to the video. What are you talking about? Structure the video, make sure it has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and just focus on this story that you're trying to tell. The story is the king of the video, and it is the kind of core component to any kind of video, and everything else, all the external factors like your equipment, your camera, your audio, your editing, they're all kind of feeding the story. So the better audio, the better video, and all the other stuff, the more enhanced the story is going to be. But it doesn't actually change the story. So the story is the most important thing, and the story can be like how I maintain my aquarium. That's a story. You talk about the equipment, you talk about the process, you talk about the before and the after, and then you have some kind of conclusion and a cheerio at the end, of course. And but you just have to have this kind of loose kind of structure, beginning, middle, and an end. But storytelling is probably one of the biggest things that a lot of YouTubers overlook, I would consider. Apart from that, just do it. Don't worry about really fine details. When you first start a YouTube channel, don't expect loads of views, don't expect loads of subscribers straight away. So actually it's more important just to get the content out there, and upload as frequently as you can. If it's I guess it's going to be a side hustle for you, or if you're at school, you're just going to be doing it as a hobby in your spare time. So just put as much hours as you can into it. The more you do it, the better you'll get. The practice makes perfect. You'll make loads of mistakes in the beginning. You'll learn from those mistakes, and you'll get better and better and better. Check out my early videos. I think I uploaded my first video in 2007. It was terrible. It didn't have any audio. It was just fixed on a tripod. I think it was filmed in 240p, which I don't think even any cameras can actually do that low now in resolution. So, but everyone starts somewhere, and the more you do, the better you get. So just keep doing it, keep practicing, and then just research on, you could research on the algorithm, how to kind of create good titles, good thumbnails. Thumbnails are really important, actually. Creating a good thumbnail is like the window shop. It's like the shop front to the video. People aren't going to click on it unless it's got a good thumbnail. You could have the best video in the world. If it's got a terrible thumbnail, no one's going to watch it because it's not attractive for people to click. So yeah, there's some tips there. I could go on about it for ages, but hopefully that gives you some good information there. HW Aquascaping, thanks very much for the question. Project Devil, how does temperature affect plant health and algae? This is a great question. I do talk about temperature quite a lot on my videos because it's a really important factor to consider. The temperature of the water, the temperature of an environment is intrinsically linked to the metabolic rate of all living things. So the warmer the water, the faster everything is metabolizing. So that all the biological processes are working more quickly. So the fish are producing more waste, they're consuming more oxygen. This is the warmer the water, They're producing more waste, they're consuming more oxygen. There's actually less oxygen carrying capability in the water, the warmer the water is. The plants will want to grow quicker, so they'll be producing more waste, they'll be needing more CO2. So hope that kind of outlines some potential issues, doesn't it? So I always run my aquariums on the cooler side of what my fish find comfortable. So I have a variety of tetras in here, and these are fine down to sort of 23, 24 degrees Celsius. I think that's what, 70, I can't remember, 75 Fahrenheit or so, I guess, I think. But they can go a lot warmer, but I would prefer to keep them on the cooler side just for those reasons. Cooler water means more oxygen, less plant demands, less waste produced, and less risk of algae, because all the other stuff, the opposite of that, is a great environment to produce algae. You know, a lot of it is the more organic waste it's produced, the more risk of algae. So hopefully that answers your question on how temperature affects plant health and algae. Okay, so thanks for those questions, guys, on Instagram. Let's dive on over to the live chat. Hopefully we've not frozen. Yeah, we're good. Yay, everyone's here. That's great. Story is king. There it is, folks. There you go. Okay, good. Right, so feel free to fire away on your questions. I will try to answer as many as I can. I will say, if anyone super chatted, can someone, if you do want your question guaranteed to be answered, drop me a super chat. It highlights it in the live chat, and then I can definitely answer you. And if I do miss you, then one of my excellent moderators will point you out to me. I just noticed Mike S with a £5 super chat. Thank you so much. Hi George, what are your thoughts on CO2 reactors? I'm converting, no 7-Up water. I'm surprised you don't use them. No mist equals super clear water. That is a great question, and I've never ever used a CO2 reactor. So just a bit of background for those that don't know. I often use an in-tank diffuser in smaller aquariums, which you might be able to see here. I think you can just see it there. And in larger aquariums, like my Aquascaper 1200, I use an inline external CO2 diffuser, which goes in line with the external filter output. Now, what Mike is saying, that when you use these methods, you actually get these microbubbles floating around the water, and it can look a little bit unsightly. It looks a little bit a bit of a distraction, and you're not getting the crystal clear water. So aesthetically, they're not as advantageous as a CO2 reactor. What a CO2 reactor does, that normally fits in line with your filter output, but it actually dissolves all of the gas before it gets into the aquarium, so you don't have any of these bubbles floating around. So the advantage is the aesthetics. Now, there is actually an advantage of having the bubbles floating around the tank. Now, this is really interesting for those that don't know. These bubbles here, these are CO2 bubbles, of course, pure CO2. Gas, they're gas because they're a bubble, right? They're floating around the tank. So this actual CO2 gas isn't actually dissolved yet in the aquarium water. It's not dissolved because you can see these bubbles floating around. Now what happens is, when you have, particularly when you have a good circulation levels in your aquarium, which I always recommend, what happens is these bubbles will float around the tank and they actually hit the plants. They actually hit the plant leaves. Now the theory is, now I heard this off Tom Barr. Those that don't know who Tom is, he's one of the world's most renowned aquarium plant experts, I would argue. And he suggests that because the gas is hitting the plant is actually almost fooled into thinking that it's growing out of water. And actually this promotes even better growth. So the action, just to summarize, the action of those microbubbles hitting the plants can arguably produce better growth versus 100% dissolved CO2 in the water, if that makes sense. So, you're getting the disadvantage of seeing these bubbles, but then the advantage of seeing potentially better plant growth. So it's up to you which one you choose. You know, at the moment I'm choosing the bubbles floating around the tank and getting that better plant growth potentially. Interestingly, I am replacing my Aquascaper 1200 in the next couple of months or so with a Wase Highline 400, and I am considering using a CO2 reactor in there because I'm going to be having a black background. I'm going to be having discus in there, and I want it to be super clean. So the thing is with using microbubbles, particularly with a background, is that they're even more visible because they're white bubbles basically, and they're contrasting with that black background. So a CO2 reactor might be the way forward there. But it's a great question, and thanks for the super chat, Mike. I really appreciate it. Mark Dorr, 199. Thanks, Mark. Weekly pocket money. No brandy shots this week. No. Like the last live stream, it was Father's Day, I think, wasn't it? And I went to my in-laws' house, and I wasn't driving, so I did take the opportunity to have a few alcoholic beverages, as you do on Father's Day, if you do like to partake in an occasional alcoholic drinking. But no, straight as I die today, and yeah, no drinking this week. Seb Butcher, 499. Thanks, Seb. I know you're a regular super chat guy. I do appreciate you. Is it possible to completely eradicate cyanobacteria without completely stripping down a scape? This is a great question. Yes, is the good news. Bit of a backstory. Cyanobacteria was a real nemesis of mine. In the first couple of years of me getting into aquascaping and planted tanks, I used to suffer from cyanobacteria quite frequently. And I tried lots of stuff to get rid of it, and I couldn't get rid of it, and I used to strip down the tank from scratch. And it was a nightmare. You know, if I wasn't such a stubborn guy and so kind of persistent, then I might have given up the hobby, actually, and then where would we be now? But I did persist, and I got over the issues in the longer term. But I'm digressing. You can get rid of cyanobacteria. So what I would do is a few steps. Step one, and it's the same step when you're addressing any algae issue or any issue at all in life. You have to identify the cause of the issue, otherwise it's just going to return. You can you can address the symptom, but unless you address the cause, you're just going to get that problem reoccurring. So things that trigger cyanobacteria, usually, fun fact, cyanobacteria almost always starts in the substrate. So one of the big triggers is excess ambient light hitting the substrate here through the glass. That can trigger the cyanobacteria. And then what happens is if the aquarium environment isn't ideal, then that cyanobacteria can spread really quickly. So other factors to consider are poor circulation, excess buildup of organic waste, either in the aquarium or in your filter. So you need to address that. Excess light, actually, there's some evidence that suggests very, very low nitrogen levels can trigger or encourage cyanobacteria. So as opposed to the common school of thought where people assume that high nitrates can trigger algae, in a case of a cyanobacteria, another name for that is blue-green algae or slime algae, if you've not heard of cyanobacteria. So low nitrogen, low nitrates can be an issue. So how to treat it? Those are the triggers. Identify, get rid of those. Those are the causes. So make sure your tank's really clean. Make sure you're dosing a liquid fertilizer with nitrogen. Make sure your filter's relatively clean, and really focus on healthy plant growth. Healthy plant growth is the nemesis of algae, of any algae or cyanobacteria. Cyanobacteria isn't actually an algae, by the way. It's a photosynthetic bacteria. It just behaves like an algae, so people just assume it's an algae. So what to do to treat it? First thing to do is manually remove as much as possible. Thankfully, it is actually really easy to remove because it grows like in slimy kind of sheets, and they're really easy to remove. So what I like to do is get a siphon tube, and you can literally just siphon it away, usually from the hardscape or the plants, quite easily. But do that, remove as much as you physically can. Get rid of every little speck that you can. Clean your filter as well after you've done that. And then the last thing you should do is a huge water change. Do like a 75% water change. That's going to just dilute any of those cyanobacteria particles that might be floating around the aquarium. That water change is just going to hopefully get rid of those. Then what you do is, if you've got CO2, turn it off. Make sure your filter outlet is kind of maybe even like above the surface slightly, so creating extra oxygen levels. You want as much surface agitation as possible, and then completely black out the tank. So you can use like bin bags, trash bags, whatever you want to call them, or newspaper, and just completely cover all of the glass, turn off your lights, and then do a 72-hour blackout. Don't peek in the tank, don't feed your fish. Vast majority of fish are going to be fine for 3 days without any food. Completely black out the tank, extra oxygen through the surface movement. You've got a nice clean filter. You've just removed as much as you can. You've done a big water change. Any remnants of the cyanobacteria, because it's photosynthetic bacteria and you're starving it from light, it's going to completely destroy any cyanobacteria. Then what you need to do is you remove obviously your blackout, put your filter back as it was, put your CO2 back on, put your lights back on. And I can almost guarantee there won't be any traces of cyanobacteria in there. And then what you need to do is just focus on those causes, you know, limiting organic waste, dosing good quality liquid fertilizer, focusing on really good plant growth, and then maybe considering, you know, how much ambient light is hitting the substrate level, the substrate kind of line here. And then hopefully that will solve all your issues. So touch wood, you know, I haven't suffered from cyanobacteria in over 10 years now because, you know, I've kind of considered all those issues that I just talked about. So a really long answer there, but it is a really good question. Cyanobacteria is a really, you know, unfortunately a common occurrence with aquascaping. Okay guys, let's dive on over to some more questions. Gamer voice, on the light strength scale, where does the Aquasky RGB sit? I don't actually know. I'm not sure what the wattage is of the Aquasky RGB. Let me just Google that because it is a great question. And I should be able to tell you quite quickly, hopefully. They're £400 for starters, so that's so they're 40 watts. So they're not quite as powerful as a TwinStar 600S, but more powerful than the TwinStar 600E. 40 watts over a 60 litre aquarium or 60 centimetre aquarium is medium to high light. You'll be able to grow the vast majority of plants with that, absolutely, especially if you're injecting CO2. I would definitely recommend CO2 injection with that much light. So yeah, I would put it in the medium to high light category. Great question. Candy is a legend. She's just asking people to pre-order my book. Thank you, Candy. I do appreciate you. Yeah, the book is available to pre-order now, guys, on Amazon, Amazon UK or Amazon US.com. Please hit the like button. Yeah, hit the like button, guys, if you're enjoying this content. As usual, I will extend the stream a little bit if we get to 200 likes by the end of the hour. So. Okay, I'm going a bit quiet, guys. Sorry, I'm just checking out the live stream. This is a good question. Mung Queen, do I still intend to get into saltwater? Yeah, yes. A tentative yes. The gallery's so full with freshwater aquariums now. I will be doing a full tour of the gallery. It is looking really good at the moment. I've got 6 aquariums and a terrarium now. I've got the boil bear, so it is quite full. I've got no room for a saltwater tank. It is something I've always been interested in. I have set up a saltwater tank before and I did enjoy it. But at the moment I'm focusing on freshwater. So yeah, thanks for the question. Josh Few, are there any published PAR info for the Kessel tuna Suns? Not that I know of, but you know, Google's your friend. You'd be surprised what you can find on there, maybe. Mark Dorr, have you decided on frogs for the biorb air? I loved ones in mine. Yeah, I am really strongly considering it, but I do want to do a bit more research, because I'm getting a lot of comments saying it's cruel to keep them in such a small environment. And then I've got other people that have given me evidence that they thrive. But I want to make an informed decision, basically, before I look after any living creature. I think it's important to do your own independent research, and that involves not just asking kind of folk on the internet. You know, I'm lucky to work in an industry where I have access to quite knowledgeable people. So I will be reaching out to some people. I absolutely want to. I think they're beautiful, and you know, if I can sort of guarantee it's going to thrive in that environment, then absolutely I will keep frogs. Probably just the one or two, and obviously they'll be very, very small. But like I said, Mark, I do need to do the research. But yeah, it's super tempting. They're beautiful little frogs, and it's just another hobby, isn't it? I love it because it's similar to aquascaping. You know, anything that connects you with nature, I think, is beautiful. Especially, you know, we live in a modern society where a lot of us are a little bit more disconnected from nature than maybe we'd like to be. So I think anything that helps to bring nature into your living space is a beautiful thing. And terrariums are a really good example of that, as well as aquascaping. And I have to say, the biorb air is such a low maintenance thing relative to an aquascape. So the kind of trade-off between impact and that sense of nature versus maintenance, you know, the terrarium kind of wins every time. But you know, I still have such a close affiliation. Affinity. I have such a close affinity with aquascaping. There's something about the water, the fish, the shrimp. There's something super. I know I'm rambling now, but I don't care. There's something so kind of special about being near water, and I've really kind of noticed this lately. It's just super comforting. I think it must come back to our ancestral days where we needed to be by water to survive. You know, we live in modern homes now where we have instant access to running tap water, which is safe to drink. But back in our ancestral days, you know, a few thousand years ago, you know, we had to travel, you know, miles and miles or kilometers to the nearest water source, and that wasn't necessarily clean. So there's something, I think that's one of the reasons we love to be near aquariums, not just because they look beautiful to look at, but because it's a source of water. You know, we're not going to drink from it, of course, but you know, I think psychologically there's something comforting about that. So a little bit of digression there about terrariums versus aquariums, but it's an interesting topic, isn't it, I think. Ramble on, brother. I will, don't worry about it. So Andrew has dropped me a £5 super chat. Thank you so much, Andrew. Hi, really enjoy your videos. Thank you very much. Setting up an Aquascaper 600, good choice. With Twin Star, SM and CO2. How many species plus number of plants should I buy for the initial scape? Well, how long is a piece of string? It is a really open-ended question that, what I will say is, excuse me, I'm going to have a little cough. What I will say is, plant heavily from the outset. So buy as many plants as you can afford, ideally, and make a good proportion of those plants fast-growing, easy plants. That's just going to give you the best kind of startup. You're going to suffer with less risk of algae. The faster growing the plants are, the more healthy those plants are, the less risk of algae you get. So do a bit of research, you know, jump on over to the Tropica website. I think you can filter plant results by category, whether it's easy, medium or advanced. I'd recommend just starting off with easy plants anyway. There's so many easy plants that are beautiful. All the plants in here are easy, I think. Probably 90% of the plants I aquascape with are always easy. So yeah, start off with easy plants, make sure some of them are fast growing. Plant as many as you can, and spend a really good proportion of time preparing the plants as well. Split them up into as many portions as you can to get the best coverage. Buy some aquascaping tweezers, get a good substrate system, and then yeah, just enjoy the process. But do your research, you know, obviously figure out what kind of aquascape you want to create. Think about your foreground, midground, background plants, epiphyte plants, hardscape, and then go from there. Hopefully you may have gained some inspiration from some of the videos that you've seen on my channel or other YouTubers' videos or magazines or just a general kind of internet search. So many great aquascapes out there. But yeah, good luck. I wish you all the best with it. Aquascaper 600 is a great tank size to start with, not too big, but a great footprint. You know, it's 20 inches or 50 centimeters front to back. So you've got this great kind of real estate to work with. And yeah, I'm a bit envious of you for having that opportunity. Good luck with it and all the best. And thanks for the super chat. Rohan Patel, this is a good question. I've just lost it. What's your take on growing plants faster? What's my take on it? I guess you mean how do you do it, or what do I think about it? So let's address both of those things. How to grow plants faster is quite simple. You need to add more light, but you need to balance that extra light with the demands of the plants. So light is the driving force behind all plant growth, and then you have to give the plants the other stuff that they need. So the faster the plant is growing, the more food they need. So the more nutrients they need, the more CO2 they need, the more circulation they need. The faster they're growing, the more waste they're producing. So the more the organics are going to build up. So you probably will need to do more water changes. So growing plants fast is great, but just be prepared to do all those extra things that come with growing fast plants. How fast you want to grow your plants is down to you. You know, sometimes for beginners especially, I recommend sticking to easier, maybe slower growing plants. They're more forgiving. They don't need as many nutrients. They don't need as much light. They might not even need CO2 injection. And then you can kind of just gradually, if you want to delve into more demanding plants or grow, you know, super bright red stem plants, for instance. This is a real kind of popular thing with aquascaping, and kind of a lot of people kind of look up, you know, see that as like the pinnacle, you know, growing these really demanding plants. Then you absolutely will need more light, more CO2 and all the other good stuff. But yeah, that's my take on it. You know, faster plants growth is great, but just be prepared to do the extra work that comes with that. Okay, we've got another super chat. Thank you so much. James Dyer. I've just got a Vivid 2. Could you share my lighting program? I could do, but it's on my phone and the phone is the camera right now. So I tell you what, I really love, and I'm actually going to change it, I think. There is a kind of pre-programmed spectrum on there called Red. And I think this is really great for good plant growth. And depends on, I don't know what size tank you are, so I don't know if you've got 1 or 2 units, etc. But I'd probably start off with less intensity, see how you get on, and then gradually increase the intensity, because they are very powerful units. I think are they 130 watts maximum? I can't remember off the top of my head, but they're a powerful unit. Considering the profile, they're only 45 centimeter unit, and they're putting out 130 watts of light. We talked about the Aquasky ADA RGB. This is a 40 watt unit and it's 60 centimeters long. So these are like at least three times as powerful as the as the ADA Aquasky RGB. Not the solar RGB, that is a different unit, quite similar to the Vivid 2. That's 130 watts as well. So sorry I can't answer the question directly, but try the Red program and see how you get on with that. And then I will do a full kind of update video on how I've got on with the the Vivid 2s. I really like them, actually. I'm really impressed with them. Chihiros have actually approached me to do some more work with them, so it's something I'm considering. So watch this space. We've got a very generous super chat from SamChar7Dave17, interesting username. Thank you so much for the very generous super chat. Is Blixa japonica melt common in new tank setup? Using good light, CO2, using gravel with Tropica substrate, heavily planted, new step setup, all plants doing well except Blixa, including Rotala Vietnam doing well. I would say it is common actually, Blixa japonica. Just if you can, just sit in the chat. Let me know, was it a Tropica 1-2 grow or did you buy it elsewhere? That would be interesting to know, and I can give feedback to Tropica about that. So the interesting thing about Blixa, it is a submersed only species. It's one of the few aquatic plant species that will only grow underwater. There's a few others like Ageria, Ageria densa, which is commonly known as Elodia. What else is there? There's a few others. They're not popping into my... Oh, Vallisneria. Vallis is another true aquatic plant that doesn't grow out of water. So what this means is when a plant only grows underwater, depending on the water chemistry that it's been grown in, it can struggle to adapt to its new water chemistry. And this is quite common with plants that have adapted to growing underwater. So this will be more than likely the reason that your plants are melting, because they struggle to adapt from that original water chemistry to your new water chemistry. Now my slight concern is that if you bought it as a Tropica 1-2 grow that it melted, the culprit there would be likely that it was quite an old stock plant. So when you bought it from your store or your shop, it might have been on the shelf for a while, and it might have been slowly kind of degrading in its special nutrient-rich liquid. So sorry to hear that it's been melting. If it's completely melted and there's absolutely no sign of any healthy plant left, then unfortunately you'll have to remove it and then buy some new. If and when you do buy new, have a chat with your store, wherever you bought it from, and get it as fresh as possible from the shop, because that's going to give you the best chance of success. That is the potential issue when you're buying any plants from any store. The longer it's been kept in less than perfect conditions, the more that plant's kind of slowly suffering, and the less chance of success you'll get when you do eventually put it into your tank. This is why I always recommend, and I probably talk about this on every stream, always buy your plants as fresh as possible from the store. So just have a conversation with the store manager or the staff. Just ask them politely, when you do your next order, please can you get me some Blixa japonica? Let me know when it's in the store, and then either pick it up the same day or get it delivered ASAP, and then you'll have a better chance of success. Sorry to hear about the plants melting, and thank you so much for the super chat. I do really appreciate it. Thank you, SamChar7Dave17. The broken machine has given me a £30 super chat. Is everyone has everyone earned loads of money lately and just dropping these massive super chats? I do really appreciate it. Thank you so much. The Broken Machine X. Hey George, do you still have my Asian rummy nose Resbora? Absolutely. They're in the Aquascaper 1200. They do love to live in the stem plants for some reason. I think the lights might be a bit bright for them perhaps, but they do come out for feeding and they're looking super healthy, and I do have them. In fact, I was asked a question on Instagram, where did I get mine from? And the answer is my local Maidenhead Aquatics in Huntingdon do stock them. I'll give a shout out to the manager there, Sam, actually, really great guy, and they do have really healthy livestock. They might not be the cheapest that you can buy it in an aquarium store, but those got a good relationship with those guys, and they do have some interesting fish as well as the irregular kind of bread and butter fish. So if you're ever in the Huntingdon area, then check out Maidenhead Aquatics for fish. And if you want to look at one of the best aquascaping stores in the UK, then check out Aquarium Gardens, which is also in Huntingdon. I think at the moment they might be doing appointment only, No, I think you can. I think you can actually go in now without appointment, but just check out the website and see what the policy is, the current policy at the moment. Okay, blown away by those really generous super chats. Thank you so much, guys. Massively appreciated. Oh, we've got another one from Mary Page Flynn. Thank you so much. I have to give a special shout out to Mary because she gives me the most lovely comments on my videos. I do need to spend some more time replying to comments on my videos. I am aware I used to have a policy of replying to every single comment, but when you get literally hundreds of comments a day, it is challenging, obviously. But I do need to sort of set aside some time to do that because I just want to show my appreciation for people watching my content. Really, I guess this is why this kind of regular live stream is good, because it gives me an opportunity to thank you guys in person, face to face, so to speak. Okay, let's jump on over to some other questions. So, drifting driftwood, do I like the Walstad method? I can't really say because I've never tried it. I have a book, The Ecology of the Planted Aquarium, I think. It's been kind of a hot topic on some of the Facebook groups with some of the planted aquarium kind of experts. A lot of her kind of methods have been a little bit discredited by some people. I don't know too much detail, and I've never actually tried her method, so I can't really give any kind of credible answer to that. So I'm not going to say yes or no because I haven't experienced it for myself. But thanks for the question. Deepak Sahi, I wondered where you were. Thank you, Deepak, for your super chat. He drops me a super chat every week. Super grateful. Where do I get inspiration for your aquascapes? Do you take lots of photos and draw inspiration, or pure imagination? How do I decide on plants and live long and prosper? This is a Star Trek thing, and I can't do that. I don't know if you guys can at home. Can everyone do that? Let me know in the comments who can do this, because I haven't got the genetics to do it. So yeah, most people can, but I can't. I can run my tongue though, which some people can't. Anyway, where do I get my inspiration from? I have to say Takashi Amano still inspires me to this day. I just love that classic early 2000s style of aquascaping, nature aquarium style, classic, bold hardscape, relatively simple plant choice, not too complicated. You're just really stunningly composed, beautiful photography. That's what really inspires me. I do get inspired by just scenery, seascapes, landscapes. Really fortunate to live where I do. I live in quite a rural area of England where we take our dog, our miniature schnauzer Tommy, for walks, and we have this beautiful kind of little woodland trail, literally a few hundred meters from our home, and that inspires me. You can just like look at the forest floor and you'll see a fallen tree with some moss growing on it and some leaves around it, things like that. Or when you go, well, I love being by the coast. Well, I haven't been traveling obviously recently, but I love kind of seeing rocks on coastlines. I find this really inspiring for kind of Iwagumi style layouts. So I find that inspiring. In terms of plant choice, I have to say a lot of it is kind of dictated to me by what plants I want to feature on my videos in particular. I obviously work with brands like Tropica, so it'll be in their interest for me to feature certain plants. And most of the regular viewers to my channel will know I have quite a kind of a classic range of plants that I like to stick to, which are almost always easy plants. A mixture of easy foreground plants, crypts for the mid-ground, epiphyte plants such as Java ferns, Bucophilandra, Anubias, getting a little bit more into mosses now. And then background plants are usually just easy stem plants or tall crypts. A massive fan of the Hygrophila siamensis 53B, which we talked about already, and the Limnophila hyperoides. I think this is such an easy yet beautiful stem plant. And I think I've trimmed mine back now for the 6th time in my Aquascaper 1200, and they just grow back. just super easy. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question, Deepak. Thank you so much for the super chat. As always, really appreciated. Okay, I'm just trying to get some more questions. So many popping up. Loads of people doing the Star Trek thing. I feel a bit left out now that I can't do it. Maybe like really tough training, I could do it. Okay, yeah, if we can get to 200 likes in the next few minutes, I will stay on for another few minutes. I know Candy has got to go on the hour point, but I think Radu's still in the house and maybe Jen. But I do really appreciate you watching, guys. 300 of you watching. That's really great. It's so great to see you here. Thank you for joining. MH Aquatics, have I ever attempted to do a paludarium? If not, why not? I have actually. I did work on a project called Insularium a few years back, which was a really shallow tank, and we had loads of emergent plants growing out the top. But I get this asked every time I do a live stream. Why don't you do a paludarium? I do need to do one. I will do one at some point. It's not. I don't know what's holding me back. I guess it's just because. I guess I always talk about stepping out of comfort zones, don't I? And I should, maybe practice what I preach. So thank you for that timely reminder. I do need to do a paludarium. Thank you. Okay, got another couple of super chats. Thank you so much, guys. Nicholas Jacuzzi, $4.99. Thank you so much. How much do I use the rule of thirds, and how do you pick plants for a nature aquarium that flow together? I use the rule of thirds. Just kind of a lot of it's just sort of naturally now. It's just like instinctual because I do so many aquascapes, and it's just a natural kind of position for a focal point for me now. So it's probably use it in 3/4 of my scapes. I mean the trident fern here is probably the focal point, which is rule of thirds, and then we've got a couple of nearite. Can you see these nearite snails on top of each other on this bit of wood here? So this wood is kind of this main stone here on the right. That's kind of rule of thirds. So I just kind of use it naturally. And then in terms of plants, how they flow together, it's just a matter of taste. I mean, you've got two options really with aquascaping. You can deliberately go for contrast, or you can go for harmony. So a good example would be, the Staragina here contrasts with the hairgrass. But if I wanted to, so that's a contrasting component. If I wanted like a harmonic component, then I would blend in the hairgrass with something like Halanthemum tenellum, which is a kind of spiky texture. So it's all down to taste, and there's no fixed rules. Just my kind of recommendation is just experiment, see what works for you, and just practice. The more you practice, the better you'll get. The more you practice, the more you'll kind of identify your own kind of sense of style. But there's nothing wrong with copying when you first start out as a beginner. If you see an aquascape that you like, find out what the plants are, copy them, copy the techniques if you need to, and then you're more likely going to succeed with that. And then if you succeed with it, you're going to have some confidence, and you can use that confidence then to maybe start treading your own kind of unique path, and then you'll gradually evolve your own style. I mean, my style is pretty basic. Foreground, midground, background, epiphytes. Start off with a strong hardscape, and that really is it. It's 5 components: good hardscape, foreground, midground, background, epiphyte plants. There you go. Okay, we've got another super chat, £10 from Paul Mann. Thank you so much, Paul. Hi George, I'm planning my first aquascape in a 60p tank. Very nice. 9 litres of aqua soil will give me an average depth of 5 centimetres. Is it worth putting fine aqua soil over the top to hold the plants better? It's up to you. It's not really going to give you any extra benefit to holding the plants. I mean, the depth is more to do with the aesthetics. You don't need the depth really to anchor the plants. As long as you've got you know, a minimum 5 centimetres is fine. I'd actually start off with 2.5 centimetres at the front and then slope it towards the rear. That would be my option. But 9 litres is actually the recommended kind of amount for a 60p. So I would just stick with that if I were you personally. If you wanted to go for like a diorama style or a really kind of, you get this kind of sense of depth you might want to achieve with an iwagumi layout, for instance, then you might want to slope it even steeper. But I would just start off with the 9 litres, save your money, buy more plants instead of more soil. That would be my recommendation. Okay guys, we're on the hour mark exactly. We do have over 200 likes, so that's really great. Thank you so much everyone, really appreciate that. We'll do another 5 or 10 minutes and then I'll say cheerio. This is a good one. BM3 Aquatic. Which shrimp do best in hard water? Cherry shrimp or any of the kind of varieties of Neocaridina davidii, cherry shrimp. You can get the yellow, blue, green, you know, all sorts of varieties of cherry shrimp now. But they actually seem to thrive in hard water. You know, my TDS I think is around 400 here. And they're breeding like, I've got them breeding in all of my aquariums right now. They're even breeding in my Tropica aqua cube and there's no filter in there. So I cleaned out my Biomaster 600 thermo filter from a Wase today from my Aquascaper 1200. Took out the pre-filter, baby shrimp in there. So I set up my style line 125 from a Wase 3 days ago. I can already see baby shrimp in there. And I think I just spotted there's a baby shrimp right here. So hard water, absolutely cherry shrimp. This is a good one from Ben Ellis. I have an Wase Biomaster Thermo 250 on my small 80 litre aqua oak. Should I slow down the flow or let it go full whack? Thanks. I'd go full whack if I were you, absolutely. And just be mindful of the circulation pattern. Ideally, you want just a nice kind of circulation, swaying those plants gently throughout the whole tank. What that means is all the plants have got equal opportunity to use the nutrients and the CO2. So you might need to just kind of play around with the filter outlet and inlet just to kind of get that best overall circulation pattern. You're welcome. Game of Voice, speaking of filters, what's your take on filtering with activated carbon on the initial weeks of your scape versus skipping straight to biological filtration? I actually like activated carbon. There's a lot of kind of debate whether or not it takes out the nutrients from liquid fertilizers. In my experience, it has very little impact on liquid fertilizers. And I actually like it because it just cleans the water. It takes out waste organics, makes the water look really clean, polishes the water. So actually, I actually like activated carbon. I don't use it so much just because it's an added expense. And when you're doing, I do large frequent water changes. So in terms of keeping the water clear, those take care of that. But it is a good product and I like to use it. New Mexico Aquatics, can you please give me a birthday greeting in Klingon? Here it is. Okay, I'm going to try and say this to my friend Little Bobby. Little Bobby, I'm going to say Quo Slidge Dat Leviage. There you go, happy birthday, mate. Hopefully that, if it's your birthday, happy birthday, Little Bobby. I love Little Bobby, really great guy. David Scapes, did my super chat go through? I can't see it. Cheers. I haven't seen it. Oh, I did. I've just got it now, David. Sorry. My live chat doesn't show them all the time. I do apologise. Will I do hardscape only or plants in the Highline 400? absolutely will do plants. I'm thinking Echinodorus. I might even do Echinodorus only plants, so Amazon swords and the different varieties of Amazon swords. And it's going to have discus in there. And my plan is to create, you know, one of the best discus aquascapes that I can. I've done a discus aquascape before, but I really want to make this special. You know, the Highline 400 is a 400 litre aquarium, which is about 100 US gallons, 5 foot long. Yeah, and I'm really excited by it. And a little bit of an exclusive. Hopefully, they won't tell me off for this, but a little bit of an exclusive for you. That in the near future, they are bringing out a brand new Aquascape Biomaster filter. So it's a bigger, more powerful version. So watch this space. Hopefully, I'll be one of the first to get one, and I'll obviously do an unboxing video for you guys and talk all about that. So that's exciting. A bigger version of the Biomaster 600 for those with big tanks. So that's really cool. Good night, John. Thanks for joining, mate. Sorry I didn't see you earlier. Okay, guys, I'm going to have a little bit of a final ramble, I think. Oh, we've got some... I've got a couple of nice questions, actually. Sam Amin Zada. George, will I visit ADG in Houston, Texas? Aquarium Design Group? Absolutely. My plan is to hopefully do some kind of book tour in the States, visiting a few aquascaping specialist stores in particular. And of course, Aquarium Design Group is probably definitely one of the best in the US, if not the best aquascaping specialist store. So that will be hopefully combine it with some kind of workshop event, book signing, etc. So that'd be great. Okay, I'm going to say cheerio. Thanks to all the questions. Apologies for not getting around to everyone. If you do want your question, opportunity to have your question answered in the next live stream, then make sure you follow me on Instagram every Sunday in the morning or afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. Check out my Instagram story, and then you'll see you can type in your question. So yeah, check me out on Instagram, of course. You can look forward to some more videos this week. I'm going to be doing a video of my Style Line 125 brand new aquascape. I want to do an update of the Aquascaper 1200. I want to do a full kind of tour of all the scapes in the gallery now, because they're all looking really nice. And a really exciting video, actually. I'm going to do a video dedicated to moss art from Scape Nature. So for those that don't know, moss art is basically mounted moss in a frame. It looks really beautiful, and I want to do a special video dedicated to that sometime this week as well. So loads of great content coming for you. I might not have the time to do all of those videos this week, but you can definitely look forward to at least one or two of those. So excited to bring them to you soon. I hope everyone's well. I know Corona's still kicking off. I know in the United States there's some crazy stuff going on over there. I hope everyone is safe and well. You know, use aquascaping as an opportunity to kind of chill out from all those things. You know, we're staying at home a little bit more often than usual. Spend more time with your scapes, maintain them more often. Consider rescaping them. You don't even need to spend any money rescaping. You know, I rescaped my 1200, did a minor rescape on that. Didn't cost me any money. So, you know, just enjoy the hobby. Use it as a therapeutic tool. Enrich your life with it. Enrich other people's lives with it. And yeah, I'll leave it there. Take care, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Really appreciate you. I appreciate you watching. And yeah, take care. Keep on scaping. Cheerio.